I'm here with my TW200. I've been doing a ton of mods to this thing to try to get some more power out of it. And even though it's super smoky, we're going to be putting those mods to the test. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about not only what I've done to this thing, but we're going to hopefully be getting to the top of a mountain. Stay tuned. Oh yeah! Alrighty, so since the last time we've met here in YouTube world, I've been busy here modifying my T-Dub, which is of course of no surprise. After my 700 kilometer trip, there are definitely a couple key shortcomings with it. Namely, not much power, which I get it, it's a 200, I really didn't expect much. And the stock suspension, especially with the luggage, did leave a lot to be desired. So I set out to try to solve those two things in typical Lakeman fashion for not a whole lot of money. For the power situation, I followed the standard formula for giving a Japanese dual sport just a little bit more grunt. I opened up the airbox, I introduced it to my friend the step drill bit. I got an aftermarket muffler. I got a universal eBay one that looks very similar to what a well-known brand sells for the TW. And I just welded up a custom header pipe for it. And then I played extensively with my jetting. I always have some trouble with jetting here just because, you know, most suggestions are done by guys who ride in a relatively similar elevation all the time. Whereas here we'll have like a 5,000 foot, kind of 1,500 meter range that we ride in. So it's challenging to get it to run in all situations. I normally settle with having it so that it runs a tiny bit rich at the highest elevation I tend to hit on a hot summer day, and then that just means it's a little lean in the valley bottom. But those power mods, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you, you know, it's a night and day difference, but there's definitely an improvement. It just has that tiny bit more grunt when I'm pulling up a hill. It's especially noticeable on the highway, and off-road, you know, I can just hold the gear a little bit longer, which is what I really wanted to get out of it. Now, as far as the suspension goes, I've often told people that suspension is the best thing that you can spend money on, you know, from a performance standpoint on a dirt or dual sport, and that's just true. With that said, I still wanted to cheap out. So I was looking again at that very well-known manufacturer for T-Dub parts, and I saw they had a kind of heavy-duty lifting rear shock, and I thought to myself, gee whiz, you know, I've seen one of those before. So I hopped on Amazon and got one that's definitely nowhere near as nice as theirs, but very similar looking for only 70 bucks. And I did have to machine some custom mounting hardware with that. But so far, it seems pretty good, albeit rather stiff. Because I lifted the rear, naturally, I needed the front to match. So I ended up getting the Bradley Performance extended damper rod and fork spring kit. And I felt at 200 bucks US, that's actually a pretty good deal. It adds 1.5 inches of travel to the front end. And I got the 0.7 fork springs, which honestly are a little stiff. I did initially have them in the forks with 10 weight oil. I've since gone to 5, and that's definitely helped. But, you know, I think I've spent the equivalent of $350 Canadian getting my suspension done. I got 1.5 inches of lift. It has really transformed the bike, especially for big hits. It's still a little bouncy over a little chatter, but you hit a cross stitch now and it doesn't feel like I'm gonna explode off the bike. So definitely worthwhile stuff, and as you can tell by the trail so far, great kind of spot to test it. We're gonna ride this sweet trail up. It's eventually gonna get into the Alpine, and then there'll be a peak with a nice final hill climb. I am of the opinion that my jetting is still a little rich in the mid-range, so I have a feeling I'm gonna have to adjust that needle clip position, but you know, That's how it goes when you're modifying bikes. I always see guys online, oh, leave it stock, don't modify, you'll ruin it. And that is kind of true, you know. If you're not willing to put into the time to test and tune, then the bike's probably going to perform worse. But if you're willing to try something out, go for a test ride and see what happens, then you can make some good improvements to your bike. So I can already tell it's running rich, which is unfortunate. But still, even though it's rich, it is pulling harder than before. Yeah, I could tell up here it's really not liking the elevation. So it's interesting with the jetting. So I have the Amazon carb, which does mess up the baseline. But with my pin gauge set, I figured out that the Amazon carb has a 34 pilot jet, a 122 main, and then it has an adjustable needle. And I'm not really sure how that needle on it compares to stock. With that said though, you know, I followed baseline settings from other places, and a 132 main was so rich it would hardly run. So I tried a 130 and it ripped on the valley bottom, ran like crap at higher elevation. Now I have a 128 main jet, and it ran pretty good till 1200 meters. Now it's not having a great time. So I guess I'm gonna try the 125 main jet, which is I think what comes in that stock carburetor, and only one size bigger than what I took out. So kind of a mystery, because I have, you know, created a condition where I should have needed quite a bit more fuel, but also it's hard to know how that taper on the aftermarket needle compares. So anyways, I'll throw on the 125 when I get home and try that. Now, and I think it's important to mention, with the 128 and the 130, it absolutely ripped at that 500 meter, probably what, 1500 foot elevation. So if you're somewhere flat or flat-ish, that'd probably be a decent setup for you. But now the trail is starting to get a little more exciting. Alright, before we get to the main event, there's kind of a cool old miner's cabin over here we're gonna check out. It was looking pretty bad for wear like 3 years ago, so I'm actually curious if it's still standing. Well, it's still standing. Oh, wow. This thing used to be somewhat flat.
It's not.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow. Crazy.
I didn't even know this was here.
Yeah. I don't really like being in this one anymore. Cool cabin. Now we're gonna ride kind of this cool trail with some exposure and see if we can do some peak bagging on the T-Dub. Let's go. Oh yeah. Well, you can see enough to get the gist about what's happening up here. pilot jet, early needle zone into the main circuit, she starts kind of flooding out. So definitely time to play with the main jet. And unfortunately, I'm nowhere near at the challenging part. So I don't know if I love my chances. Okay, just about made it to the start of the hard part. I've always, pondered this tree here, because you look at how small the trees around it are, and then how old's that? Okay, so I don't really think the T-Dub's gonna take the straight shot.
Yeah, that's fair.
There is, I think it's in that dip, it might be the next dip, there is a switchback way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go that way.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave you to choose.
All right.
I'd probably do the switchback way though.
Probably gonna do the switchback way. Yeah.
Okay. So I've definitely upgraded suspension and downgraded power. She's hardly running.
I can hear that.
Yeah. Come on, catch. All right, she caught. I think this is going to be the end of mine run. Oh, I got so close. Good on him. He's going to make the summit. Well, to conclude, I almost got to the top. So that's a failed test. Did I improve the suspension? Yes, I did. The suspension is worlds better. Did I scratch whatever I just said? I just got home and you get what you pay for with the budget rear shock. Did I improve the power? Well, I certainly did on the highway and at lower elevations. Here at elevation, I've made it worse. So I think I'm gonna have to go leaner on the main jet to get some of this elevation power back, but I might still lose some of that highway power I gained. So I don't know what the perfect solution is. I had fun modifying this. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, or if you think I'm a moron, let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time. Oh! The camera got ya.
Glad that was on camera.
Oh, good save. I was gonna say, you know, it's rare that I don't get to summit the peak. Congratulations.